Oh, guess who's back? Back again. Dawson's back as a married man. Look at that ring. Woo! Oh, it's looking good. Look at that. It is insane. I feel like I'm in a dream right now. The whole theme of this episode is going to be the Lord is limitless because he is. Everybody, friends, family, everybody thought I was not going to get married. Take that, mom. Take that, friends. Take that, parents of friends. All of you, everybody that thought I was never going to get married. Oh, they won't say it now. They won't say it now. They'll be like, oh, we had a slimmer of hope for him. No, you didn't. I bet you before I got married, all bets were like, hey, the over under if Dawson's getting married, and he's not. We just don't think he is. Oh, it feels good. Just giving it to God and letting God just work. I mean, this should be motivation to even the people who are out there that are in the same predicament as I was. You know, you're there, you want to get married, and then you're just like, well, no one thinks I will, you know. Well, guess what? The Lord will provide. Keep praying, dude. Keep praying. I promise. It just feels good. It feels really, really good. Just against everybody. All the people who thought I was gay in high school. The only reason is because I lived in the South. I was born and raised in the southern part of the United States. And I'm telling you, it's just different there when it comes to what they consider gay. I didn't do anything wrong. I would wear a cardigan in the fall. Be like, oh, dude, you do anything slightly, kind of like in fashion, or you like do anything that makes your IQ just a little bit higher, you're gay in the eyes of the southern part of the United States. I remember whenever I was going to work, when I first started going to work at 16, there was this Vietnamese place that I would love to go to, and they had this nice bowl of ramen that you can get for pretty cheap, and I would get that and bring it home, eat some of it for dinner, and then take the leftovers for lunch at school the next day. And I know as soon as I brought that Vietnamese ramen in there was going to be some southern person sitting with their slop of mashed potatoes, Salisbury steak, and a bread roll, looks over at my food, and before I can even tell him what was in it, they would notice a vegetable that they'd never seen before, be like, oh, what is that? Oh, Dawson's gay for sure. Like, come on, dude. Look what he's eating. And we can't even. What is it? Anything that a southern person is confused about or doesn't know what it is. There's just some of them that just, I don't know. There's California straight and there's Texas gay. Where Texas gay is you're not gay, but there's things that make them think that you are, for sure. And it's that. But I'm married now. Against all odds, I'm a married man. It feels really, really good. I feel like a character in a book. I don't know. You just read those books, it's just so nice. You're reading them. They have like a crazy story, a love story. And you're like, man, I would always love to have something like that. And then you're like, oh man, I just don't know if that would ever happen. And then just God just comes out of nowhere and goes, hey, don't put me in a box, dude. Don't put God in a box. Don't, because he will do some crazy things with what you're praying for. And I definitely did not see it coming at all. I didn't deserve this at all of where I'm at. My wife is so beautiful. She's so smart, everything. And I am like just amazed every day. I mean, we've only been married for 4 months, but I mean, I could write a book right now. I think every newlywed couple says that right off the bat. They're like, dude, I can write a book right now. 5 tips onto a happy marriage by yours truly. That'll be coming out soon. So just get ready. That's where I feel like right now. I'm kidding. Okay? No books. But I am just truly just amazed and so happy of where God brought me in just a year. I mean, because if you knew me or like listened to this podcast before I completely just dropped off the face of the earth for a full year, that last episode that I did before I just dropped off was not a good one. Actually, the previous 4 were not that great with my mindset. I was losing it. I was in my Job season. I was in a season of where I just I grew my hair out. I couldn't afford a haircut. I was living in a 1-bedroom apartment with 2 dudes that I didn't know. They were up to no good at all. I was just in the hood. I was trying to grow out this stubble. I don't know. I was literally just in my Job season, and I was struggling a little bit. But God, the whole time, every time I was struggling, I would go to God and I'd be like, God, can you please just, like, is what I'm doing glorifying you? Am I glorifying you what I'm doing? Like, I had so many doubts just creeping up on me. Satan was just, I felt like, dude, it was a spiritual warfare thing for sure. I was not in a good place at all. And for God to completely transform that person who I was a year ago and completely transform it to where I'm at now. I'm in a whole new country too, by the way. I'm living in Finland. I know this is the first time that you've ever heard about Finland with, some Americans that are probably listening to this. They're like, Finland? Yeah, Finland. Look it up. It's on the map. I promise you. Because I know there's some people from the South that are following me. So, you would have to look up what a definition of a map is first, but it's fine. We'll worry about that later. But Finland, yes, I'm living in a whole new country now, and I'm married. And then the year before, I was on the edge of just this really, really tough time in my life. And I just want to dedicate this whole episode just to the beauty of what God could do in your life. If you just, with prayer and everything, you just give everything to Him, He'll do something crazy with it. Just don't put Him in a box. But I honestly, I know it could be easy when you're on the other side of it to be like, oh yeah, but I don't know. I even reflecting to it and stuff like that, I even was just so confused at times, or I was just so doubtful at times, and I felt so like David in Psalm, like 1 minute I'm like, God, where are you at? My life's a mess. I just need help, but I love you so much. And then the next moment I'm like, I never doubted for a moment I would conquer over my enemies, and because of you and what you've given me, and then just go right back down to, well, they're trying to kill me. I don't know. I feel very down right now. Where are you at, Lord? It was just that season of just Psalms for me. And every time I would go to Him in prayer and just pray to God about it, God would just be like, shh. I just felt Him just telling me to shh, just wait, Dawson. And He really did. I needed to take that break, that whole year off, because I really wanted to focus on Him and also what He was about to completely change in my life, of me getting married. I don't know. It's crazy. And I want to dust off that story because I just think it's so cool. And I just want to, I don't know. I just want to just say it and explain the story, because I didn't really talk about my wife that much when we were talking and stuff, because I didn't really want to like hype it up too much, because it really was a crazy thing. But now I just want to just talk about it because I don't know, there could be somebody in the same season. It doesn't matter if it's about marriage or anything like that, just in a season of where they're really, you're just trying for something and it's just not working out right now. Or you might be in a season of just some family member died, or some, just some tragic things happened in your life, and you're just really wondering where God is at in your life. And I'm telling you, you might be in that Job season right now. And I personally know that from experience. And I struggle too. I'm right there with you. I don't know. I just can't believe God's endless grace and mercy, because I didn't always handle things the correct way. That's why I feel like where I'm at right now is just even more undeserving, because, your human flaw comes in and you're definitely like, man, I know God's not going to come through now, but He does. And it's crazy because I guess it's just how I was raised and just my mindset with things. It really was easy for me just to like put God in that same mindset, just like looking at Him as a very just critical, God, and just oh, I better, I'm walking on eggshells, and if I do one little thing, like anything that is happening to me is because I did something wrong. And I don't know, I had a really hard time just visualizing a loving God. And I didn't realize that until I had those tough times in Arizona, that I really did look at God as this critical person. And I realized that just through just the hardships that I was going through. And I really did have a jaded view of who God is. And just me right now, just sitting at where I'm at, I can't do anything but just thank him for what he's done. And my wife, for her to see anything in me during that current time, I mean, it just broke every societal standard ever. Because I was also raised not in a Christian household. I was raised to believe that you need to have everything in order before you get married. You have to, do this and that and, be some sort of financially set. And, you even see that in church sometimes too, because you'd be like, oh, you believe in God? Cool. You love the Lord. You want to glorify him with all that you want to glorify him. That's cool. Oh, well, what car do you drive? You see that like with a lot of American churches, that Western culture, with the Christianity is just like, oh, you love God, but else, what else do you have as well? And so for me, I just always believed that marriage was just so far off from me because I just couldn't seem to get a grasp on what I wanted to do with my life, how I was going to make money, all these kinds of things. But my biggest thing was I just wanted to glorify God in all that I did. And I just had these desires on my heart. And stand-up comedy was a very big thing. And I just saw him open a door and I just jumped on that. And I just wanted to see where it would go. So it led me to Arizona and it was just very tough. You can go back to previous episodes and listen to it, but I'm just saying that it was very, very tough. And, but through that though, it just came out just such a beautiful, beautiful thing. And, it led to where my wife now, where she messaged me in the midst of all that, because I was in a very sad, just part of my life where I didn't really know if I was glorifying God anymore with what I was doing. And I don't know, I was looking at it from a wrong perspective and I thought I was getting more punished, for where I was at then. I was like, okay, I obviously got to be doing something wrong. And I was looking at it the wrong way. And I was just praying about it. I was like, God, I need to know what you want me to do. Am I even glorifying you with stand-up comedy? Am I even glorifying you every day with what I'm doing? Am I doing something wrong? And then my wife now, but then she was just somebody who messaged me on Instagram, and it was just a motivational thing. It was very just motivational, very just uplifting. I didn't know this person at all. And she was like, hey, I came across your comedy stuff came across my feed, and I just want to say that I think it's super cool that Christians could do stand up. I didn't know that, and something to that effect, like, oh, it's cool that you can glorify God with your stand up comedy. And just those words hit me hard. I was like, God, this is what I needed. Like, it was really, really awesome to have that moment. And I immediately messaged her back and said, hey, thank you so much. You really don't understand of how much I needed this right now. And, I'm trying to glorify him in all that I do. I mean, yeah. And I just went into that and sent it off. And I mean, I thought that was that, it was like kind of like a moment where God was like, hey, here's your, here's to know if you're glorifying me or not. And I thought it was going to be that. Well, then a couple of months later, she, messaged me again on my story, and she was like, oh, you have a podcast? And then she then sent me an audio message, emailed me an audio message of, one of the episodes she listened to. And she just told me what she thought about it and, her thoughts on it and what it, spoke to her about. And the way that she was talking, it made me really just draw in to her, because the way that she was just talking about God, the way that she was just like speaking about the things that, that it was like talking to her, it just, I don't know, it made me want to know more about her. I don't know what it was. I can't explain it. It had to have been like the Holy Spirit, but I was just drawn in to what she was talking about. And she, I don't know, I just came to realize that we were in the same season of life. We were just two individuals who wanted to glorify God in all that we do, but we just didn't really know what God wanted us to do. And I don't know, it did, because I talked about in that, I think it was talked about in the episode about, it would feel so simple if God would just give me a brochure. But realistically, I'm glad he doesn't. I'm glad he doesn't give us brochures to do things in life. And he gives us choices. And I don't know, we just really related on that. And we started messaging more. And I shared my testimony. She shared her testimony. And I was like, whoa. Things are getting pretty deep, and I don't even know who this person is. I've never seen them in person. We've just been messaging, and I was like, wait, we need to video chat real quick. So I asked her to do a Zoom call, do a Zoom meeting, because that's what the appropriate thing to do. I didn't know what WhatsApp was at the time. Okay, I don't think most Americans know what WhatsApp is. I could be wrong, but at least I did not know what WhatsApp was. And I would have used that firstly to video chat, because that was way easier than Zoom. But I felt like a Zoom meeting was appropriate. It was very professional. And so I sent her a Zoom link, and we were on Zoom, but I only had the free version. But I was at a point in my time where I was like, okay, I was still living in that one bedroom. I was like trying to make my air mattress. I was trying to sit on it. And, I was trying to find the best looking corner in that room. I shaved, I was trying to look appropriate because I just wanted to look my best. But then again, there was somewhere inside of me that thought, I was like, as soon as she sees me for the first time, if she starts talking, like, she's not going to want to talk to me anymore. There's no way. Like, but at that time I was just thinking that we were friends. But then again, like, if she saw where I was at and stuff and just saw my life, and I was like, it just wouldn't be appealing. I don't know why, but I was just kind of like in that mindset. Well, lo and behold, we got on Zoom and we talked for, I think it was like 2-3 hours. I made 3 separate Zoom links, and we were just talking and chatting and laughing, and it was super crazy of just how well we connected. And I don't know, later on after that, I found out what WhatsApp was, and we started FaceTiming off of there or video chatting. And then I don't know, then I just asked her, I was like, well, I found out she was from Finland earlier, but I was like, well, I don't know how we're going to, I would like to meet you one day. At this time, I'm still thinking friends. It's just nice to have someone to talk to. But we really connected. It was really awesome just to be in the same season of life with somebody and have that relatability, especially for how lonely I was in Arizona. It was really nice. And so, I don't know, I was just like, well, I don't know what compelled me to say it, honestly. Thinking about it, I was like, I would like to see you one day. I would like to meet in person. Like, it would be nice to have a plan to like actually meet in person one day. How cool would that be? Kind of something like that. And I don't know, one thing led to another. Now we were starting, I don't know, I guess it started off as a joke. And then all of a sudden, then it was kind of like, well, if you go, like, I can go half and you go half, and then you can, where would you want me to fly, to Finland, or would you want to fly, to Phoenix? And then she was like, oh, I can go fly to Phoenix, which I thought was insane, because she also mentioned she's never been to the United States before. And that I was like, that's insane. I was like, you're going to fly all the way to the United States to meet a guy that you've never met before. It just really blew my mind of what she was doing, what she said she was going to do. But I went half on a ticket. She went half on a ticket. And we got the date for November. November she was going to come down and visit me in Phoenix. And it was just super cool just to have that date, because then after that, everything was just, we talked basically every day, and we were just really getting to know each other. We came to terms like, if we were going to, if we saw each other in person and we were going to be more interested, like we would proceed, but like we were just keeping it, not hyping it up. And that's why I wasn't talking about it a lot, because during that time that I was like, going to those last few episodes, we were really talking, and we just made plans to like meet each other in person for the first time. And I was very excited. And so at this point, I was just leaning in on faith. I was just praying about it. And I just thought it'd be cool to like just meet this person. And I don't know, it just worked out. I had money saved up at the time, and she, was willing to go half. And I was like, why not? This is really cool. But then things got turned for the worst on my end, because then I was told to move out of the apartment that I was currently in. I was like, oh no. Like, I really had no place to go. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I'm just going to have to figure this out. I don't know. But things were getting worse there. I knew I was going to have to move out anyways, but I didn't know if I was going to have to move back to Arkansas or if I was able to stay in Arizona. So I messaged, or actually, no, I didn't message. I called my comedy friend at the time. He's my Asian dad, for sure. He's definitely an Asian dad figure in my life. I called him. Brian Kahatsu is his name. Look up his dry bar. He's an amazing guy. I called him. We were getting to know each other because we were performing at churches and stuff with each other. And he worked at one of the comedy clubs. And, that's how we got to know each other and meet. Actually, I'm going to have him on the next episode of this podcast. And so we'll talk more about our, how we got to know each other more in our meeting and stuff like that. But he came to the rescue. I don't know. The Holy Spirit again, I called him immediately. I was like, look, things are getting bad over here. He knew where I lived. He dropped me off all the time. And he just looked at me one time. He's like, hey, we got to get you out of here. We got to get you out. And I was like, I know, but as of right now, this is all the options I got. So I called him and I was like, look, I know I know you probably don't have enough space and stuff. And at this time also, I was feeling really awkward about asking for help. It just feels hard, it felt really, because I grew up with this independent mentality. And I don't know, I think the Lord was also showing me it's okay to ask and reach out for help when you really need it. And so I reached out for it, and I called him. I was like, man, I could be at your place for 2 weeks. Other than that, I can go back to Arkansas, but I just need a couple of I just need a couple of weeks to just figure out if there's another place I can live here, or if I'm gonna have to go back to Arkansas. I just need some time. And he goes, oh, I'll pick you up this evening. He comes over, picks me up with some of my things, and I quickly pack. All I have is a suitcase that I'm living out of at this time, so it's pretty easy for me just to zip it up and go. And so I zip up all my stuff and put it in his car, and I'm like, hey, thank you so much. This guy, Brian, you're the man. You are the man. This guy is awesome. And him and his family for just allowing me to be able to live at his place, because that's eventually what happened. He told me you can stay as long as you would like. And I ended up staying there for 6 months, before moving out here. And it was just, I don't know, absolutely awesome of just how God worked through that. And he's an amazing guy, amazing Christian guy. And I can't thank him enough. But the next episode, you will know more about who Brian Kahatsu is, the man. But I make it over to his place, and he tells me that I can stay as long as I would like. And I was like, dude, you are amazing. And I told him about Rosa. That's my wife's name. So I told him about her and how, we went halves on a ticket. In November, she's going to be coming down. Is there any way that it would be okay if, just wanted to let you know what was going on. He's like, oh, this is crazy. That's awesome. And we got her an Airbnb and stuff. And anyways, November comes. And so I'm at Brian's place now. I'm in a better environment. But I was still thinking in my mind, I was like, I was just thinking all these thoughts were going in my head as soon as November came. Like, Brian agreed to drive me to the airport and go and pick her up and that kind of stuff. And I was just so nervous. I was like, I hope it's not a catfish. Because I told my mom about it. And I've been talking to my friends about Rosa, and, they were just all like, oh, okay. I could just tell there was some doubt in their voice. Besides my mom. My mom was actually like, oh, dude, this is awesome. Well, make sure she's not AI, which is funny. Like, I was like, wow. It's like, okay, cool. I'll make sure when she gets off the plane that she can, pass a CAPTCHA test. And, hey, Rosa, can you find all the roads on this real quick? Because my mom just wants proof that you're not AI. Okay, cool. Thank you. She passed the CAPTCHA test, Mom, so she's real. But other than that, she was on board with it. It was really cool about that because it was a really wild scenario. But we make it to the airport. It's November. Let me see here. What day was it? Can I remember the date? Be that stereotypical man that can't remember any dates. I think it was November 10th. I'm going with that. It was November 5th. I'm going to go with November 5th. It was November 5th, and I get there, and she is nowhere to be seen for a second. I get confused on where the international flights come in, and I'm nervous. I'm really sweating at this point. I just can't believe that. I'm like, okay, I'm trying to wipe off my hands, trying to figure out, like, looking for, somebody. She was joking with me that she was the 40-year-old Indian guy with a red shirt. And so we finally found each other, and it was just amazing. I was literally just starstruck. My brain was just fireworks the whole entire time. I just could not believe that I actually, like, this all worked out. There was not one bad thing. There was not like a flight delay. There was not someone getting sick. There was not, I don't know. It was just so amazing that she was there, and I just couldn't believe it. And I was like, okay, well, all right. Well, she's going to get to know me, and for real. And we're just going to be friends probably, because she's going to see that I'm living at some guy's house. I don't have a car. I'm taking the bus everywhere. And there's no other appeal, I'm just good for a friend. Like, that's just what I was thinking in my mind. Really playing it down. And I don't know, the whole time that she was down there, those whole 10 days that she was down there, she was down till the 14th. And so it was November 4th then. So if it was 10 days, it was November 4th when she arrived. But now I got the correct date. But the 10 days that she was down, we planned just some great, we got a car to rent, and I was her passenger princess the whole time. And we went to Sedona. That's a really nice place in Arizona with, like, the nice red rocks, and there's some cool hiking spots there. It's great that we both really love hiking. That's really what was awesome, is that we loved outdoors hiking because it's free. And so the Grand Canyon, we went to there, and it was just beautiful, a beautiful moment that we just got to just experience. Like, she got to experience a very beautiful part of the United States, and it was just super, super cool. Got to see one of the 7 wonders of the world, the Grand Canyon. And I don't know, it's really kind of hard to explain the story in some ways, because you're kind of like, how did everything just click together? And all I'm saying is, it is the Lord. Like, we just talked and just were real with each other, and just, I don't know, we just leaned in with faith, and we decided that we wanted to date, even though it would be long distance and it'd be hard. We decided to date. We had our first kiss at the Grand Canyon, which that was magical. Having your first kiss at the Grand Canyon, you can't top that. You can't top that with any other first kisses. That's probably at least in the top 5 of first kisses. If, where did you have your, if anybody asks us where we had our first kiss, I would be like, we had our first kiss at the Grand Canyon. Grand Canyon? I mean, come on. That's the most magical place ever to have your first kiss. It's just at one of the 7 wonders of the world. That's awesome. So we have that under our belts, and we both, this is like a budget trip, and just, I don't know, just how the Lord just worked everything out, and it was just super amazing. But then it was time for her to leave, and it was hard, man. It really, really was hard of just how, when it got closer and closer to the time that she left. I mean, she got to watch me do stand-up a couple of times. There were some really good gigs that she got to watch, and I don't know, it was just super, super awesome all around. Just how we got to know each other and just being in person, But it really was just crazy of how we were just talking to each other over the phones the whole time, and then now I'm like, wow, this person is actually real. Like this is a real person in front of me, and we're, this is getting really serious. And so, it was getting closer to time for her to leave, and it was just it was really sad. It really was. I did tear up at the airport whenever she left. We were waving, and, I was tearing up a little bit. I was trying to play it cool, but man, I really did. I was bawling. I was pretty bad. As soon as I turned around to go to my flight, because I was flying back home to Arkansas because I had a gig, stand-up gig in Little Rock, but as soon as I turned around, all of a sudden I heard like 2 people, like in the midst of my bawling, just go, "Aw." Like I didn't know I was, being watched by an audience as I was crying, but I just heard this audible "aw" just go over it. And I go to my flight, and, we were messaging and stuff, and I don't know, just over those next few weeks, I was just praying about it, and we were talking every day, and I just could not get her out of my head. I just could not. We were dating at this point, but I just wanted to see her again so soon. I'm terrible with long distance. I don't know if anybody can do long distance that well, but I'm not that particular person to be able to do long distance. It's tough. And so for me to do long distance, I don't know. I just wanted to see her again so soon, and I just could not wait. And so I just was like, okay, I will do anything to see her, as soon as possible. And we were talking about it and messaging about it. She wanted to see me again so soon. And I just can't do long distance very well. And it just worked out because Brian, shout out to him again, the legend, he allowed me to live rent-free at his place as long as I wanted to. And it was just super a blessing because it allowed me to save up money to be able to, get another flight or do whatever. And yeah, I was able to go half with her again on another flight, but this time it would be me going to Finland. So she left at the middle of November, and I booked a flight for me to come at the beginning of February. That's how quick the turnaround was. And I was just, I don't know, because I was just in that season of life. I don't know. In that moment, I was like, wow, God, I'm living out of a suitcase right now. I don't know where I'm going to be in the future, but I don't know. I was just like playing with it, and I was praying, and the Lord really just opened it up. He really did. He's limitless, man. He is limitless. And I was just so happy. I was like, man, I have enough money to go half with you again. And she's like, oh, well, or actually I was just going to pay the full thing. But she was like, no, I want you to go half because I really wanted to meet her family, and I just wanted to see where she lived. I never personally been out of the country before. So that was going to be a whole new thing for me. And I don't know, this is the part where it really does get crazy because I do believe when you know, this is going to be subject to opinion. Some people are like, oh, you have to date for at least 2 years. I've always heard you have to date for at least 2 years before you get married. That's always what I've heard. I don't know. I don't believe that. I believe, when you know, you know. And I was really leaning on the Lord. I didn't have a lot of room for, disappointment. And again, like, for example, I was being very cautious. I really was, for how quickly things really took off. I really was trying my best to be cautious, but things were just lining up. And, when God just puts you in a place, he puts you there, and you're like, wow, this feels really great. And so I went half and half with her to get a flight to Finland, and it worked out perfectly because Brian and his family were going on a cruise, so they needed to renew their passports. And conveniently, I was like, I'll renew mine as well. And so I renewed my passport so I could be able to leave to go to Finland. And yeah, I went there and got my passport done and everything, and it came just in time for me to leave in February. And yeah, I called my mom up as soon as she left, though. I called my mom up. I was like, hey, Mom, like, there was a ring that was saved for me. Like, when my mom and dad split, my mom kept, the ring that my dad got her. And it was like, hey, like, they both agreed, like, hey, let's keep this ring for Dawson, for whoever he's going to marry. And we'll keep it for him. And I don't know, when I was in high school, I was so tempted just to turn it into something, for me, or sell it or whatever. But I'm really happy. Thank you, Mom, for not allowing me to sell that item or do anything stupid with it when I was younger, because it came in handy. And I wanted to ask Rosa to marry me. I wanted to, the next time that I saw her, I wanted to get engaged, which would be 3-4 months later. So, I mean, here's the thing though. You have to think of the timeline, because if you're hearing the story for the first time, or actually probably almost everybody is listening to this story for the first time, you're like, what was the timeline? She messaged me for the first time ever casually in May. Okay. And it was May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Okay. So there was like 7 months, there were 7 months in between. I think May, June, July, August, September, October, November. Okay, 6 months. Okay, there were 6 months in between that we were talking and really messaging. Probably more likely 4 or 5 of those months we were actually like seriously, I think 4 of those months realistically were like when we were like seriously talking and, wanting to see each other. And we made the flight plans like in July. So it'd be July, August, September, October, November. Yeah, it was like 4 months. And then we saw each other, and then 4 months, November. See, I'm doing the math right now. November, December, January, February. So 7 months, 8 months in total would be from the time that we were like, really talking and getting to know each other. And then to the point I asked her to, marry me, like get engaged. It was like 7-8 months. So that's pretty quick. I know. But I'm telling you, everybody's story is different. And I will tell you this much. I was not the person to be so quick anyways. I actually kind of looked at people really weird. I didn't want to be that Christian stereotype of where, ring by spring, ring by spring. But I'm telling you, when the Lord moves, it is, it's really, truly magical. And so I told my mom to send me that ring in the mail, and I was going to go ask her to marry me with this ring. But this ring was in my mom's ring size. Like, it was just one size. And that was when I was debating. I was like, okay, well, should I get this resized? How should I I want to just surprise her with it. Okay. Because get this, my wife genuinely believed that we were going to just, date, be serious. And then one day we were just going to get married. Like, there was going to be no engagement, and then she was just going to get some wooden ring. That's the cutest thing ever. Because it's just amazing to me that someone would believe that. But she really just set the bar really low. She didn't even believe that she would get like an amazing ring. And I don't know, that's just something that's so amazing about her, is that she just is like, I don't know, she really just goes with the flow of things, and it's really just cool. Just I could be able to have this ring, and she was just gonna be super shocked with it. And so I didn't want to talk to her about it. I didn't want to I just wanted to, of course, her family. I want to talk to her brother, her parents, that kind of stuff about it before I did it. They knew how serious we were. And so it was going to be no surprise to them. So I got the ring from my mom, and I don't know. I was like, you know what? This ring's going to fit. I did. I told myself this ring's going to fit. I prayed about it, and I just felt at peace. This ring is going to fit. I don't know, because I'm so OCD and a perfectionist sometimes that I would have just, had no problem with just asking Rosa, hey, what's your ring size? I just want to know what your ring size is. And then she's like, oh, tells me, and then we don't have to worry about any problems. But somewhere inside of me, I was just completely fine with the fact, oh, hey, this ring, the chance that it may not fit, I'll take the risk. And so I took the risk with it not fitting, and I'm like, oh, we'll just get it, fit there. I don't know. But I just had the faith that it's going to fit. I just did. And so I go to Finland. It's crazy experience for me going to a whole new country for the first time. I'll have to explain that more in the future of what it's like being in Finland. But I mean, it's just a whole, it's really honestly it was a culture shock for me as soon as getting off the plane. I don't know, as an American, just traveling inside of America, it's one thing, but then when you go outside of the country and there's a completely new language and all those kinds of things, I mean, I really was shocked at the very beginning, but also I was so nervous at the same time because I had this ring. She didn't know about it. Her family didn't know about it until I told them. But then I pulled her brother aside. One of the first times I met him, I pulled him aside. Actually, you know what? I pulled him aside. Actually, no, I think it was the second time. No, it was the second time that I met him, I think. Yeah, it was the second time that I ever met him. And we were talking, and I just looked at him. I was like, hey, is it okay if I, ask, your sister for, her hand, to marry her? I didn't know how to, I stumbled on those words exactly like that. I was like, I don't know. I was so tempted just to be like, hey, can I get your number and text you something real quick? This feels a little awkward for me to ask. I don't know why, but I was just, is it okay if I, ask your sister to marry me? I don't know. I was just felt really in my head about it, but he was just happy. Him and his wife, we got into a group chat immediately, and we were planning on how I would, ask her to marry me and that kind of stuff. And we found this cool spot. At this time, it was February in Finland, and I went from one extreme to another. I went from completely sunny desert to negative 14 Celsius and just blizzard snow, ice. I mean, it was it was the coldest that I've ever been in my life. It was during that time. And I asked him, I was like, hey, so we found this spot, and I was like, hey, I would like to do it on Valentine's Day, like a true gentleman, Valentine's Day is perfect. But I realized also that Valentine's Day is celebrated here differently in Finland. It's a friend's day, which I like. That it's not just a couples thing, but it's everybody included. You can get your best friend something on Valentine's Day, and it's not weird. You get them chocolate, you can get them something, it's a friend's thing. It's a friend's day. It's not just a couples, do a cute thing, whatever. So it was quite a new thing for me too to learn that. But we on Valentine's Day, we went out to this little place and, went out to her favorite spot, and I got on one knee, and I was shaking the whole time because I did not know if this ring would fit or not. And I get on one knee, And, I asked her to marry me. And, well, actually, the way that I did it was I made these roses for her. And I gave it to her in the morning. And there was 365 roses that I rolled up out of gum wrappers. And it's just for like all the moments that we had together on, over the phone. I was screenshotting conversations, and I just wrote these little things on gun wrappers, and I rolled them up into roses. And then I made 365 of them. A lot of work. Okay. But it was worth it because it was super cool. I gave this to her, but then I had one rose in my pocket, and it said, "Will you marry me?" and finish. And I rolled that up into a rose and always kept that in my pocket. And so that day that I asked her to marry me, I gave her that first rose, and that she opened. And then she opened it, and as she was reading it, I got on one knee, had the ring, and I gave the ring to her and put it on her finger. Well, I didn't just like give it to her, just like, oh, just take the ring and just place it into her hand, and she's just holding it. No, I put the ring on her finger, and it fit like a glove. Oh, it's so awesome. It was like a Cinderella slipper moment. I put that ring on her finger, and it fit perfect. It wasn't too tight. It wasn't too loose. It was perfect. It was perfect. I was just in complete shock. She was in shock that she got a ring. I was just in shock that it actually fit so perfect. And I was just, I don't know. It's just whenever your body is so in shock that you just pause and everything just becomes still. And then like people are trying to say your name, but it's just like you just got flashbanged. Dawson, Dawson, Dawson. They're like trying to say my name, but my eyes are just wide open. I can't close them. I'm just like in this. That's what I felt like. I was just in this intense moment of just shock of how perfect this moment was. Like it couldn't get any more perfect, but it fit like a glove. Just Cinderella slipper moment. Man, it was awesome. And after that, God worked things out. I just stayed here. We got married. And now I'm here in Finland, baby. I am in Finland. I'm a Finland resident. And I love it so much. How long have I been doing this for? I don't know. I don't know how long I forgot to put a timer on of how long I've been doing this episode. But I knew it was going to be a little bit longer because I wanted to explain the love story of how my wife and I got married. And it's just super, super awesome. I don't know. I just want to leave that out there just as a motivation for whoever's listening. Like, hey, like, man, God really, he really is limitless. Do not put him in a box. Really give him all your prayers. Like, I was in such a tight spot in honestly, in my Job season, my lowest of my low, kind of thing that and God brought me such an amazing woman, and we were just so perfect for each other. And I don't know. I just can't do anything but just thank God and praise God. So I just wanted to hop on here, start off the podcast again with that story, and just now that I'm in Finland. And yeah, I think this would be a good time. Oh, wait a second. I'm going to check the time. 49 minutes. Wow. That's about exactly where I wanted it. I've been trying to keep these episodes about under an hour or so, but that's the story of us. That's the story of how my wife and I got together. But I just want to say thank you for listening. I didn't have a lot of, like I was, trying to keep as much detail in there as possible, but also at the same time, like, I don't know. Hopefully that speaks to somebody. I don't know. I just really want to just flex God, just show just how awesome God is and how faithful he really truly is. Because that last episode that I did before I dropped off for a whole year was a rough time in my life. And I just, man, it just feels so good. It just feels so good to come out of that and have one of the biggest, like literally the biggest prayer that I was praying for. I was like, God, I would love to have a wife, but I just never thought it would happen for me. And I was praying for it and praying for it and praying for it. And I don't know. I got to a point where I was just like, I threw it up in the air and I just was like, hey, God, I would like to have a wife, but here you go. And I don't know. I just feel extremely blessed and just so undeserving of having such an amazing person to do life with now. And now I live in Finland, and I have so much more to talk about that in later times, because I have to now go. And I promised my wife that I would go help her mom out with some stuff. So I have to get off here, but thank you for listening to this episode and just starting it out again. And we'll just kind of see where it goes. But yes, thank you so much for listening. And I don't know. Yeah, really, really just lean on the Lord. That's the message of this whole theme of this podcast. Just God, the Lord is limitless. Lean on the Lord. He will definitely provide whatever season of life you're in. You might be in your lowest of low, but I'm telling you, like, He will do some crazy things. He will do some crazy things. Do not put him in a box. He's awesome. He really is, and he will really surprise you with what He can do. And you know, I just want to leave that story as just a testimony of that, of how loving God is. Because I don't know how you look at God. I don't know how you perceive God as a Christian, or, you know, you may not even know God, but and if you don't look, I just give him, just, I don't know, man, give Jesus a chance. Is all I'm saying. Give Jesus a chance, because it is, I don't know, it's just a beautiful thing. Just to be faithful, and don't let Satan tear you down and make you believe that it's God's fault for anything that's happening badly, because it's not. It's not. God is not to blame. He knows that there will be bad things, but the thing is, though, is it's like the more beauty of it is the fact that you get to go to Him, and He just brings you peace and just gives you a hug. And that's what I felt like after all this. I just feel God right now actually giving me just a hug, and it's just awesome. But thank you for listening to this episode, everybody. I got to go, but I will see you next week or some other time, or yeah, I'll see you. I don't know. I guess I have not done a podcast for so long. I just don't know how to end these things, but goodbye.